Hey there, viewers, and welcome back to the Self-Made Auto Channel. Got us a 2010 Ford F-150 with the big V6 in it, not even the EcoBoost, the weak sauce V6. Front ball joints, uppers, lowers, and the CV shafts are spanked. Now that we can see some of the fasteners, I'm going to use douche of the day, which is Crown Fast Acting Penetrating Oil. Not a sponsor. And just kind of thoroughly douche everything that we intend on unhooking, which is quite a bit of stuff. You essentially got to pull the, front suspension apart here to do everything. So this video is good. We're going to kind of try to keep moving right along. Don't have a whole lot of extra time today, to be honest with you. Probably shouldn't be recording. But, what the heck? Your week's behind as it is, why not get a little further? This vehicle came in a bit ago for some front brakes. I noticed the ball joints were bad, the CV boot is torn right off this side, got a huge hole in it. Of course, he commented that his boots or the front axles are clicking and clanking and making noise as it is, so. Busting out the old Nano. People have been requesting it, believe it or not. I think we've proved the worthiness of the Harbor Freight. We're going to get our caliper loose here. Let's see, I need something else. Nope. Oh, crap. Get our brake hose undone. Then our ABS wire, because we got to get them up out of the way. Oh, I got to find all my nuts and bolts. Stick them in the tray. I left one bolt in the top of the caliper. I just want to take our ABS wire, get it unclipped from the brake hose. I'm going to follow it up and around. There is a couple little push retainers, little Christmas tree doodads that hold that little guy in. So I like to go in there with just a pair of side dikes and very gingerly work them out.
Hey, sir, can you work on that part?
Yeah?
It's small enough that I'll fit right in here.
Looks like a hybrid.
See you later.
See you, buddy. Alright, there is that. So now, we need to follow it up, find the connector, which should be right here. Push out of the inner fender. Now, these things can be a pisser sometimes because they have the red lock in them. Stop. There we go. Believe it or not, it seems to be that our salt here actually corrodes our plastic. This stuff dries like concrete. And you'll get down in this connector, then it swells up and it makes them a real bear to get unplugged in some cases. So usually what I'll do is I'll just go through and chip it off. Now if you live outside the Rust Belt, this is not going to be an issue. But I try to tell people, like, even our plastic rots away. So if you destroy this red clip getting it out, don't sweat it. That one actually came up, I can't believe it. So not too bad. So that one was kind of easy. Now I'm just going to pull the wire down through. Now be mindful where it goes, like up behind the brake line is pretty much all we have to remember on this one. Behind the hub, there's two vacuum hoses that go to the integrated wheel end hub assembly, or hub unit, whatever you want to call it. I call it the crappiest four-wheel drive ever made. Now there is one viewer who always sends me his nastygram private messages. He's a private kind of guy. Says that I should keep my opinions to myself about automakers. However, know what they say about opinions? They're like a-holes. Everybody's got one. And it is simply that, my opinion. This is probably the weakest, crappiest four-wheel drive design that I've seen to date. Well, I don't know. Ford did make the Pulse vacuum hubs for the Rangers. That was a pretty short-lived little ordeal. Well, these integrated wheel end hub units, they really take the cake. Especially in the Northeast. They're made out of some cheap pot metal aluminum. They're expensive. They don't last long. Make a different size. That's your axle hub nut. I guess it would be. Just hold the axle shaft into that little pilot bearing. Alright, there's that. Let's see, I guess we can take, because I got to do the upper control arms. Got to take the strut out. But I guess we can take and bust the ball joints loose. That should be the right size. Looks good. See if the old Nano's got enough mustard to get that thing off. One tip I'd give you if you're taking these style lock nuts off and it seizes and then all of a sudden the stud breaks loose inside the knuckle, just, you know, if it's down far enough, just use a cutoff wheel and just cut it off. Now I want this to go on easy by hand because I'm going to leave it on there a couple threads, but I want to be able to undo it here shortly just by hand, so that's why I ran it back up on the second time. So I just want to put it on a couple threads, and that's it. And now we'll get the lower ball joint. Too many frickin' sockets out here. That one fits. There. Ah, shoot, probably get the tire out of it. Look at that, first try. Time for Big Nasty. Get the tie rod end loose. Oh, she don't play. Get the lower loose. It probably came loose. It sounded like it changed tones. We got to get the upper done first. Sometimes you get lucky though, just whack at the bottom. And we did. Like I say, these IWEs, they call them, they're just really chintzy pot metal, so don't let this come down and slam on it or you'll just turn it to dust. That's all they are on the inside. Like I say, it's just that little pot metal housing. Very, very weak design. only difference here, this has, you know, like the female side of the axle. On the other side, it's the male half. Now, if you're doing the driver's side, you absolutely must change the inner seal. There's no way around it. You have to change it because once you take the axle shaft out, it breaks the seal, just, you know, by design. So before I pull the shock loose, I just want to get the lower ball joint out, just because it'll be easier. See if we can't get the snap ring to crack loose here. I did. Sometimes you don't even need snap ring pliers. You can, if you get them started, you can get them just pop out of there. Or I could just go get a pair of snap ring pliers. Ching. Big nasty. I need to set her down on something a little more solid. The shock is, I think, absorbing too much shock, maybe. Big nasty, she let me down. It's okay. I think when we got it down towards the ground, I'm going to take the 3 nuts off the top of the strut, get them from under the hood. You can get them through the fender liner, but these are probably not going to cooperate very well. Oh yeah, they're all crusty up here. Despite our efforts of blowing it off the best we could. Oh, come on. Oh, every tool's got a hammer side, right? What is holding me up here? A piece of gravel or something? There's one there, one in the back here. I'm going to chisel off some of the salt. Yeah. There's that one. Come on. There. Get out of there. Unos, dos, tres. All 3. This one. Big old jabroni there. So pull the bolt out of the bottom of the shock, or the strut, whatever. That was mean. Oh, come out of there. Oh, it's got a little tension on it. Let's see. Not much. There's that big honky. Set that to the side now. we do have to get the strut out of here. So if I push the control arm down, I usually get enough room. So usually what I do is I use my lower control arm tool and I sit on it. I think if you unhook the sway bar, it perhaps will make the job easier. And we gotta throw a leg up on her. Just don't slip in that bar on an old twig and two berries. I'll educate you. So we gotta get it lined back up in the holes up top. If I can. We're pretty close right there. You don't have to, but it's helpful if you do. There you go. Whoa! Get off my horse. And then the strut is out. Ugh. So now we will pull the upper control arm off. If I have a socket, I do. So what I like to do, you can see, you know, it's kind of a funny shape. Not haha funny, just funny. It sits in its resting position about 90 degrees to the frame. So if you don't want to piss around trying to tighten these up, you know, with the suspension compressed, just put it back in and tighten it down in that position. That's Free Tip Friday. And it is Friday. So this is the only way you can buy the ball joints for these struts. They're not, you know, changeable. In the aftermarket arms, I believe they are. No camber adjustments up here either. The holes are just solid. All right, everybody back up. Hey, it's that guy. So we'll give it a little douche of the Crown T40. That is our rust preventer of the day. Not a sponsor. Whoa, fella. Get this line back up. Get a bolt started. There's another one. There's them bolts. So like I say, put this in about the same position it was. It's about 90 degrees from the frame. And then tighten her down. It's a whole lot easier than trying to do this with the suspension compressed. At least these two bolts anyways. And if you're off a little bit, forget about it. So I'll put the new lower in. Ooh, SMA sticker. These are pretty awesome ball joints that Napper sells. They don't make them for everything, but if you can get these TTX ball joints for your application, I recommend them. The only one that is better than you know Hoog, I'll say it like that, TTX. Super off-road. Oh, let's see. Let me get some stuff over here in the ball joint press. I'm going to use our Astro kit. Looks like we'll use that one on the bottom. What we got here? We use this one on the top. Just a little shallow receiver cup up here. It'll come up into it. If all goes according to plan, now these are not directional. Some ball joints are. They'll be marked with a little pinhole, or it'll say the directions. This thing's directional, dummy. It'll just say that in a nicer manner. that? We got here 7/8. Should go. Just want to make sure it is up in all the way. Yes, sir. Yeah, she's sitting flat, baby. Open up the bag of goodies. Obtain. Whoa, whoa! We're gonna need that. That's the fancy pin they come with. Kind of Toyota style. Toyota likes to use a lot of them. Oh, are we gonna have to go get snap ring pliers? Probably. Unless you're gonna man up and do it. Nope. Not gonna man up today, fellas. There we go. There's that freaking phone again. Look at their grease fittings. They even come with a little rubber cap on them. A little rubber plug here. Little cap back on it for the people who never grease it. And then the nut that it comes with. These nuts. This is the style lock ring it has. Oops, put it in the right way, fella. You know it's going to go in. Then this will lock on, hook around into the castle. Pretty crafty little lockaroo. All right, what's next? Don't you hate it when you got that one thing staring you in the face that you know you should do? You're gonna feel like a jerk hole if you don't. It's this freaking seal. I see the edge of it's pulling apart. Now this kind of seal, I don't know the proper name. I don't know, Scotch seals, whatever you want to call them. They're kind of like, you know, big truck wheel seals, where the seal seals inside of itself. You see what I'm saying? That whole seal will actually look like it rotates probably, right? Yeah, it does. Okay. So the axle shaft itself is not the sealing surface. Ow, you son of a... Hoo-ha. The problem is, I do not have the actual Ford seal installation tool. This shaft is going to be crusty as a mother. You know, if we go and yank that sucker off there. What are you going to do? What are you going to do, Eric? These things are a mother lover to put in. When you pull it out, you bought the farm, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to pick some of the crust off there. That's gonna suck, isn't it? This is really gonna suck. Well, it is what it is. I gotta attempt to change the seal. Got to. I wouldn't be able to live with myself. So I'm going to take a chisel. I'm going to get up behind the edge of it, so it's hard to tell, probably for you guys. But this, you got the little inner seal edge here, a little piece of tin, and then you got this thick outer edge between, this is steel and this is the aluminum housing. I'm just going to try to get a chisel up in there and get it to come out. They come out hard. Say the other side's a whole lot easier. All right, enough talking about it. Quit being Sally. My little kneeling pad because my knees are old. Okie dokie. And it's not even a chisel, you ding dong. Kind of the same color. I don't know why you guys watch this channel. I wouldn't. Alright, here I go. Send me good vibes. inner half is going to probably stick on the stub shaft, would be my guess. Or this whole stub shaft will come out, which would be freaking awesome. Oh, it does. Hallelujah. That's going to make life easy. Not easy-esque, but easier. Hey, look. Another SMA sticker. Ooh, and another one. Those are eBay them stickers. Did not even bring a hammer. Wow. Classy. Here we go. Well, that was easy. So now we got to clean up. Did you guys even see that? Probably not. I got to clean up the stub shaft. I think that's, oh yeah, that's rust. Use old Roger here. Freaking gear oil all over my camera. Come on, Roger. So the area we're most concerned about, you know, is up where the seal goes, but like I say, the seal lip doesn't seal on this. So I'm gonna go wash it off. Okay, so one thing that, so the axle shaft is clean now. Gotta get a glove on here. Some old nylon or whatever they are. Latex gloves, I guess. I don't really like a parts washer. So what we have to do is we actually have to clean up the outer part of this housing. But we don't want to get a bunch of schmutz down inside the tube. So we'll plug that up a little bit. I don't know how we're going to get that seal back. Good Vibes got it out. And the chisel, of course. Now just baby that, because that is aluminum, and you go hog wild, well, you'll mess it all up. I want to get out some of the sealer that is on the end of the seal, or on the outside parameter of it, rather. The new seal comes with some. There's a little bevel here on the edge. No wonder my knife is never sharp when I actually need to cut something. Ooh. A little extra for good measure. Now, oh, folks, I hope this works. All right, we kept all the schmutz out of it. How are we gonna do this? What do we do? I'll tell you what we do. I'm wondering if we, I guess if all else fails, read factory service info, right? Because I'm thinking, see, the seal portion that the seal rides on is bigger, right? Because the bearing rides, yeah, the bearing rides on the inner part. So theoretically, I wonder if we can just put the seal in, and then just put our stub shaft in. That would be my guess. Axle nut sockets, rarely used for axle nuts. However, we use them a lot for seals. I found one that fits this pretty dang good. You can use a piece of pipe, you know, whatever you got. Let's see if we can start it straight here. I kind of just Woody the Woodpecker the thing in there. Once it's in all the way, you'll see some of the orange sealant around it kind of, you know, spew out the edges. You want to take a look at that. Looks like we're really close. I see her oozing out of there now. Yep, it's sitting in there nice and flat and pretty. Hopefully we didn't just mess it all up. But technically we should be able to just slide that stub shaft in. A little bit of dirt on it. Wipe that off. Like I say, this inner seal, I don't know if you guys can see that. Well, you'll see it when I put the shaft in. Alright, I'm going to go grab the shaft and put a little bit of lube on it where it's going to slip through. Okay, we're in the differential because I can't turn it. Now we've got to overcome the snap ring. I don't know if we can just... Ooh, like that. Bada bing, bada boom. We're in. Let's see. Oh yeah, fancy. Alright, good enough. There, now we can sleep at night knowing that we did a good job. Now what can we do now? I suppose it doesn't matter what order we go. Let's see, that axle came out pretty easy without the strut in, did it? Or with the strut in? Yeah, well, we can take and pop the axle on, then we can put the strut in. Sometimes I like to save the axle kind of later in the process, simply because you don't want to accidentally rip the boot. Shot a little crown inside the hole. That's the snap ring on it. Yeah, baby. Alright, she is locked and loaded. Now I got these CV axles from Napper. They offered two different brand new CV axles. Ones that came with a, you know, cheap crap boot, I call it, and then one that came with a super tough outer rubber boot. I got the super tough outer ones. This is the weak point on these trucks. Oftentimes you'll see these boots split, and that's what it's done on this truck. It went, you know, unnoticed throughout the winter or whatever. Got dirt in it. They're clicking and a clanking. Now this little cog here on the outside, which looks like an ABS tone ring, that is all that engages for four-wheel drive. There's a very thin piece of metal inside the integrated wheel end hub unit that engages over this, not fully, partially, and that's it. That's all it's between you and walking. Like I say, pretty rickety design in my opinion. Strictly my opinion only. If you're a Ford lover and you feel the need to unsubscribe, you can. However, I say it how I see it, and that's how I see it. We'll stick our lower control arm tool back on there. What I used to do before I bought one of these tools was I would stick a bar underneath, you know, I'd use my big long, you know, my 5-foot or 6-foot pry bar. I'd just stick it underneath like this and then just wrap a piece of chain around it. That way you could push down, you know, pull on the chain. Essentially it would pull on the lower control arm. So you can do that too. Let's see, we'll get the strut back in. I think it goes goes this way. Let's see, it's only a one-way street, so get back up on my horse. Oh, it's right in the old crack. And then we'll stick a bar up here because we're going to need it at some point probably. Got her resting. Let me get some nuts put on top of that strut. You just don't want it falling back out. Right now it's pinched in there with the lower control arm, so I'm just going to stick a couple of these nuts up on there. Otherwise you go chasing it around, you know. Alright, bear with me folks. Alright, so those are on there. We'll push down. Push it in. Find our lower bolts. Back on the horse. There we go. There's that. There's that. Guess we didn't need that. That's why I put a little tension on it. Get it just about in its ride height position. I'm kicking my jack stand out. You can do this after you put the wheels and all that on, but I'll do it right now. Oh, if you go the right way, you can. Oh, stop it. Where are you? Well, you're down there. We'll zip down those top nuts. Oh my gosh, if I get up here. Here we go. Now this front one, there's that little plastic spaghetti line, so don't crush it, okay? Otherwise you won't have any four-wheel drive. Alright, there we go. We're going to take and slip the knuckle back up on here. Be sure to have your nuts ready. Alright, let's see, especially the lower one, because we're going to get it on the ball joint. We're going to start the half shaft into the bearing and the integrated wheel and hub unit. There's a seal there that seals here, so make sure that is clean before you put it on. I've got it laying on the ground and put a rag on it. Didn't get it dirty taking it off. It would be my suggestion, if this was my truck in the Northeast, I'd be putting them hub units on it. But that's just me. They're extremely failure prone. But this is not my truck, so try to line everything all up at once here. Just hold it and put the nut on the ball joint. Like I say, you don't want to drop it against that pot metal. There's that. Now we'll line up the axle. You're going to have to pull that down a little bit. There's that. We'll get that one started. Get out of there. I don't like the fact that boot's all kind of waffled on there. Not much I can do about it. Now it's made, I guess. Stick our pin in here. There's our lock pin. We're almost done. Where are you, fella? Frickin' tool cart eats tools, I swear. That one, is it that one? Hey, it's that one. You guys probably can't see with the backlighting anyways. Alright. Now, in these little fellas, do not draw it in with the nut. Just turn the wheel until you feel it engage into the hub. And then wiggle it through. These don't go on with a lot of torque, all right? So be mindful of that. That's bigger than the factory one. Was it 15 maybe? That one looks like she'll fit. That's that. Now they are a lock nut. There we go. Got her little cap. This is where my other hammer is. There's that, the hubcap that goes on. Our axle shaft turns, and now we're almost done. Got the one bolt that goes into our ABS wire. We'll stick that back up here. I don't crush these, they just go into plastic, so just a smidge over hand tight. Not even a full ugga dugga, just out of the impact. See, that's it. I guess there was a little ugga dugga there. We'll save this. We'll get our brakes back on because everything else is done, right? Big old rotor. I got so much to do today. What you do, grow on me? There you go. Atta fella. Stick the caliper back on. At least I had good brakes on it. This is what calipers look like after a few weeks. In case you're wondering how quickly things rust. Give you an idea. There's that. Guaranteed job as a mechanic in New York, I guess. As long as they keep shaking down the salt. That is our brake hose. Now we do have our vacuum hose. This is your 4-wheel drive vacuum. Just want to plug that back in to the hub. And then I'm going to run my ABS wire back up where it belongs, snapping it back into the brake hose, clicking it back in the hole, Another thing we had to remember is it went behind the brake line. Get it in the hole up here. Ooh, baby. And then make sure mating heads relatively clean. Back together, back in with the red clip. And then back into the inner fender. I think that's about it, fellas. So, let's see, tie rod's tight, axle's tight, ball joints are tight, upper control arm, bottom of the shock, top of the shock. The axle spins round and round. All that's left is the alignment, which this has no adjustable control arms on it whatsoever. Looks like a tow and go, unless there's aftermarket gizmos you can buy. These tie rod ends are looking nasty. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, well, it is what it is. You know what? I think I got that ABS wire in the wrong hole. So it must go in that hole. No, it can't. It doesn't reach. No, that was the hole it went in. Never mind. I'll put it on the front side of the bolt. That way it doesn't rub. My mistake. Now before I go and full douche this with the crown to buy it a little bit more time, I do want to get the tie rod ends busted loose. Now I won't bore you with that. It's just going to be a matter of, you know, heating and beating and turning and, you know, squeaking it past. What are you going to do? So that's what I got to do, because I'm going to be the one doing the alignment. So I want to get that broke free. And I guess that's it. That's CV axle, inner seal, upper control arm, lower ball joint, all in one little video. And we'll leave it at that, folks. We're all done, on the exception of the tie rod business, which I'll get taken care of. Obviously, if you're doing this job, get a manual, do it the correct way, torque to spec, all of that business. Or we got to keep motor in here. Lots to do. Parking lot's still full. I'm still behind. And I guess that's it. So all I would ask you is go down there, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you like these kind of videos, along with other types of videos, diagnostics, brakes, suspension, engine jobs, you name it, we try to do it. And that's it. Check us out on our socials. Find us on Patreon. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.